administration, but today we're going to talk about something else. It's called the Louisiana Purchase. Who knows what the Louisiana Purchase was?
It was pretty much the whole west and central part of the United States.
Yeah, so we just bought a whole bunch of land from France. So France had a whole bunch of land in North America. They decided to sell it and we bought it. So what we're going to do today is look at a map and try to define where this Louisiana territory was. And then second of all, we're going to go over the ins and outs of why we wanted it, why they didn't want it, how much we were going to pay for it, what we were going to give in return, all of that stuff. And then we're going to look at different perspectives on who wanted this territory and who didn't. So the differences between the Democratic Republicans and the Federalists. So what I'm giving you is a packet, and we're going to work through this today and tomorrow, so you need to put your name on it. And what you see in front of you is a map, and we're going to kind of define the area of the Louisiana Purchase on this map.
Yes, because I lost mine. It's science class. Where did my lead go?
And 3. There you go.
Okay, here you go.
All right. Eyes and ears up here. Eyes and ears up here. Okay.
Danny, come on.
All right, so what you see in front of you is a map of the United States. So that shaded area that you're looking at, that is everything that is included in the United States at this time. What year is this map representing?
1803.
1803, and we can see that because we're using our clues. It says up at the top 1803. So we know that Thomas Jefferson is in the White House during this time. And this is what America would look like before we purchased the Louisiana Purchase. And then we're going to shade in what we got from it. So everything's shaded. We've got all the states. We've got Indiana Territory to the north and the Mississippi Territory to the south. So what's interesting here is that the Louisiana Territory wasn't very well defined when it was in the hands of the French and also the Spanish. On your map, it says controlled by Spain. And that big area to the west of us, it says controlled by Spain. Well, it was actually controlled by France and Spain. So France was the original holders of this land, and then they gave it to Spain in 1763. Well, Napoleon, when he took over France, he decided he wanted it back. So actually in 1803, it was in the hands of the French. So we're going to define this borders, but what we need to know is what Jefferson knew. What did Jefferson know about this area? Well, not much, because the French and the Spanish didn't really explore this area very well. It wasn't until we sent 2 explorers that we really figured out what it was about. Who were those explorers?
Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark. Absolutely. Good job, Katie. This quote up on the board is all that we knew about the Louisiana Territory. And I'm going to read that out loud to you guys. This is a quote from Thomas Jefferson. He says, "The unquestioned bounds of Louisiana are the Mississippi on the east, the highlands east of it, on the west, then from the head of the highlands, which include the waters of the Missouri, and following those highlands round the head springs of the western waters of the Mississippi, to its source, or perhaps the Lake of Woods." So everything that's bolded up there is a feature, is a geographical feature that you're going to see on your map. And those are the main features that we know of. Those are the features that we know are included in this Louisiana Territory. So next up, we're going to see if we can find out where those features are. So you have 5 places up on the board. It says Gulf of Mexico, Mississippi River, Missouri River, New Orleans, and Lake of Woods. Those are all different features that were mentioned in Jefferson's quote. So the first one is the Gulf of Mexico. You guys are going to take your map and you're going to label where the Gulf of Mexico is. If you don't already know where it's at, there's a clue. It says it's a large body of water that lies south of the United States and has a curved coastline. So based on that clue, we can probably define on our map where the Gulf of Mexico is. So you're going to take about 2 minutes and label each of those features. If you cannot see the board, if you take a look at the back page of the map, right here, it has all of them written down. So if you can't see the board, take a look at that page and it'll help you look at those clues. All right, so go ahead and do that and we'll talk about them.
5 things to label. Use the clues, use the clues, use the clues.
Yeah, the clues are essential. Doing the Gulf of Mexico is important to do first as well.
Clues, clues.
Is this? I used to love gold.
But this already is labeled Atlantic Ocean, so it's probably not that,
Great
right?
job on the first one. Well, let's find the next one.
Yeah.
Wait, so is
It could be
Next one,
Yip,
gotta find
Yipper.
Mississippi River.
Well,
River that was the
doesn't
western
say.
border of the U.S. in
Right.
1803 empties into the Gulf.
First
Well, if you
one.
know where the Gulf is, you gotta find a river that empties into it. Yes.
I can write both if it's a headache.
Oh, golf.
I can.
Yip.
Let's try. Wait, is this like?
Please.
Yeah, you see this little boot looking thing?
That's
Clues
Louisiana.
are also in the back.
How you guys doing? How you doing?
Like that feels.
Magical, I love it. I have that. Yeah. Mississippi.
Remember that had?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Like,
It's not for university. Wait, this is for not go on for university.
I got this.
We can tell
I don't know.
What's the river?
And it says Mississippi.
That was a mystery.
River that was the western border of the
Okay, so that one starts in the Rocky Mountains, so you just have to figure out where the Rocky Mountains is and it flows into the Mississippi.
Oh, that's the line?
So,
Oh, that line
it's
is
the
the
Cracker
river?
Barrel.
This is the river. What? This is the river.
Yeah. So that's the Cracker River.
Yeah. Oh, there's the bike in it.
Wait, so this
That's the bike.
long one is the river.
How are your map skills?
Closing.
Well, this one says Arkansas River, so would it be both the Arkansas and the Missouri River?
Arkansas.
So, try to find something river that's not labeled.
Wait, where's the label? The woods?
Remember that?
I'm on.
Okay.
Like off the top of my head.
We'll do 10 more seconds to finish up, then we'll talk. Yeah.
Those 5 things.
I don't know what that is.
All 5.
It says north and west.
Okay, well, let's work on the next one. The Mississippi River is a river that is the western border of the United States.
If it dumps into the Gulf,
If all seas are the United States, what's the border?
in the state of Mississippi, where at? It's in there.
It says, so if the Mississippi River is the border, it's this border right here.
This one
And
and
it
this one.
flows into the Gulf of Mexico. Do you have already right?
Yeah, don't
No, it's like this river is this border. Those lines represent rivers. Hey guys, the lines represent rivers, if you didn't already know that.
Quickly, dark line.
It's up
No,
here.
you can't.
It's up here.
It said northeast. It's like right here.
Or is it Indian?
Wait.
This is-
Just put in on the Mississippi.
Okay.
I They both go into the mountain.
This one's already labeled though. You know, it's tricky, but that's the clue, I guess. Yeah, because you're right. They both do start in the Rocky Mountains, and they both empty into the Mississippi River. So, I can see why you would get
I
confused.
didn't see the label. I thought it was just
You're
like.
missing
Right.
Lake Woods.
All right, so guys, I want to see what your math knowledge is. How good of geographers are you?
I am terrible.
So we'll start with the Gulf of Mexico. Who can show me up on the board where the Gulf of Mexico is? All right, get show us.
Yeah.
It's like.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we know that because the clue says it's a large body of water south of the United States. So we can see our compass. South is down. Remember, never eat soggy waffles. Northeast, southwest. All right, guys. And then it has a curved coastline. So everything's south, and it has a curved coastline. So this is where the Gulf of Mexico is. Ding, ding, ding. All right, if you don't have that written down, go ahead and do that now. Oops. So who can show me where the Mississippi River is? Trevor. No, show me.
Mississippi.
You gotta go up there.
Oh, no. The Mississippi River is this line that goes all the way down to the
Absolutely. That is where the Mississippi River is. So how do you know that? What clued you in to that was the Mississippi River?
Because first of all, it's right there next to Mississippi.
Okay, it's next to Mississippi.
Second of all, on the page behind this one, it tells me, river that was the western border of the U.S. in 1803, empties into the Gulf of Mexico. So, since all of this was the U.S., right, this is the border, so this should be the
And it's
Mississippi River.
Yeah.
That dumps into the Gulf.
So we have two borders. We have multiple, but we have a border here, which is our west border, and we have the east border over here, and then the south border, and the north border. So if it says that this river is our western border, that would lead us to believe that this river right here is the Mississippi one. All right, so it is highlighted in yellow. Go ahead and write that down if you have not done that already. Next, we have the Missouri River. This river starts in the Rocky Mountain and flows into the Mississippi River. Who wants it? Who really wants it? All right, Jude.
I'm a little short for that, but yeah, I'm a little short for that.
You can jump. I'm kidding. You don't have to jump.
I almost did that. Right there. That one.
All right, that one. Okay, and how do you know that?
It's the only one not labeled.
It's the only one not labeled. Yeah.
And it dumps into the Missouri River.
Yeah, so it follows what the clue says. It starts in the Rocky Mountains and empties into the Mississippi River. It could have been the Arkansas River, but that's already labeled. So the Missouri River starts at the very tippy top of the Rocky Mountains and flows down and empties into that Mississippi River. So if you do not have that one labeled, go ahead and do that now. All right, and then now we're on to New Orleans. New Orleans is a city located on the Mississippi River near the Gulf of Mexico. Who wants to show me this one? James.
Louisiana. This area right here.
Not the middle.
So where's New Orleans then? Remembering that New Orleans is a port, so it's probably on the coast. That dot right there? Absolutely. So James got it absolutely right. This dot up on the screen. Okay, so it says this red dot right here. It says New Orleans. That is we know this because it is on the coast. It's a port. It is located on the Mississippi River near the Gulf of Mexico. So what's important about New Orleans is that this is a very important strategic area for the United States. We do a lot of trading out of this port. A lot of ships in and out during the day. We also store a lot of goods in this port, and we transport those goods along the Mississippi River, along that border, to get goods to Tennessee and Kentucky and to the other territories north of those guys. So it's really important for us to function in 1803 the way that we did. Well, like I said, France had control of this territory at the time, and they restricted our access to that port and the Mississippi River. They restricted those two things. That is why we had to negotiate. That was our original intent, was to get access to these two areas because they were very important. And then we have our last feature. It's the Lake of Woods. Jacob.
I can't reach it, but it's
You can come try. No, just kidding.
You gotta
very
jump
top
Yes.
by the
top of the
Use your pencil.
all the way
All
up
the way up there. Okay, so here, I'll jump. So all the way at the tippy top of the Mississippi River, that lake up there. So that is the lake that sits at the northwest tip of the Indiana Territory. How did we know that? Who can tell me how he knew that? Jude.
This is the north, west, and there's all like other Great Lakes to the east.
Okay, so this is the Indiana Territory right here, and we know what our directions are, north never and west waffles. So it's right up at the tippy top there, and that's how we knew that. So that is good. Now we have defined the features of our map. These are all those features that Jefferson talked about being included in this Louisiana Purchase. Now what we need to do is define the borders a little bit more. So that's what we knew going into it, and now we have to, Jefferson had to think about what that actually means. So what territory is included in all this? So, now you need to look up at the board this purple dotted line. This is how we defined that area. This is before we had very formal borders, but this is what we thought of this area as. It kind of is really big up at the top with the Rocky Mountains, and it kind of skinnies down to where New Orleans is. And that is the whole of our area for the Louisiana Purchase. You're going to outline that on your map and shade it in so we can kind of look and see what this Louisiana Territory includes. So take some time and outline that Louisiana Territory. You don't have to outline, or you can kind of like, or you don't have to shade it in since you're or you can kind of just choose. Okay, so as we are finishing shading in that area, I'm just going to put up on the board some of the defined lines that Lewis and Clark helped define. So, like Katie told us earlier, Lewis and Clark were the two gentlemen that were commissioned to explore this area because France and Spain hadn't done it. And what's interesting too is that Jefferson commissioned Lewis and Clark to explore this area before we even owned it. He was going to do it no matter what. So Lewis and Clark were going to help define the borders of our new property. So dividing the unknown. So we divided a territory of Orleans down at the bottom, and we called the District of Louisiana up at the top. Let's see, and these orange lines are kind of the borders around the sides that we kind of came up with. And if you look, you can kind of see the outlines of some of our future states. Right here at the bottom, that's kind of the bowl of Oklahoma. So we have the Panhandle that's probably over here, and this is like the bottom We define this line right here defines Louisiana, the future state of Louisiana, and some other places. So, what I want you guys to think of now is what states are incorporated into this area. What states are there? Kansas is one of them. What else?
Missouri.
James?
North and south.
Okay, Kansas, North and South Dakota,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, Montana, Nebraska. What else? There's more. There's quite a few more. Colorado. Well, probably a little bit of Colorado, right up here.
Texas.
Texas. So Texas comes up through here. So maybe probably a little bit of Texas. Minnesota. So Minnesota's gonna be up here. What else? Probably not Oregon. Oregon's all the way over here. What else? Iowa, definitely Iowa.
Iowa's
Idaho.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of Idaho.
Canada.
Well, Canada's Canada, so probably not. But
It would be good.
okay, so yeah, that's a lot of states. That is a lot of states. And so when we think about this territory, think about how many states it encompasses. This territory was 828,000 square feet. It more than doubled the size of our nation previously. So it's 828,000 square feet. That's a huge area. Okay, so now that we have defined what the Louisiana Purchase looks like, we're gonna take a look at our timeline. So take a look at your timeline. It is on page, I think, 4 of your packet. Oh, that's mine. Here, take this.
Huh?
Well, you can have it. But the problem is you're gonna have to write on the back. I already did it. So here.
Yeah.
Stop
Hell.
reading like that.
All right. So,
No.
taking a look at the timeline.
Oh, yeah, that is.
We're gonna talk about this up until we have to go for lunch. But I want to hear you guys read this timeline to me. So I want someone to volunteer to read the first section of this timeline. Trevor.
So the one under March 1801.
No, 1763.
Timeline, dude. First,
Do you see it where we're at?
read the first
It's
line.
like one.
Just one. It's just like 5 words.
France gave Louisiana to Spain.
Okay, so in 1763, you guys listening? In 1763, France gives the Louisiana Territory to Spain. So France gives the Louisiana Territory to Spain, and that in 1763, are we a nation yet?
No.
No, that doesn't happen until later. So this is before anything happens, and then the Spanish get this territory. In March 1801 is our next section on that timeline. Someone read that to me. Casey.
Napoleon wanted a French empire in North America, so under pressure, Spain returned Louisiana to France. Federalists in the United States were alarmed that France now owned Louisiana. They wanted to use force against France, but Jefferson, a Democratic Republican, sent Robert R. Livingston, the U.S. minister, to France to attempt to buy New Orleans.
Excellent. All right, we will continue this after lunch.
Time to eat some chow, you see. Time to eat some chow, it's free. Time to eat some chow, woohoo! Time to eat some chow, so you don't feel blue.
My chow is not
That's pretty
free.
good. You just made that up, didn't you?
Yep.
Hey, I have some Chipotle,
You have Chipotle.
right?
Nice.
I like Chipotle.
He doesn't like me usually.
Yeah. I recorded during that one. Because I still need one more observation, so.
Gotcha.